Once upon a time in ancient China during the Han Dynasty, there were brave warriors who kept getting stronger with each battle. They used some kind of special energy from the universe to become incredibly powerful. These warriors were chosen to lead armies and make a big impact on the world. During the final days of the Han Dynasty, there was a fierce war going on between the government and a group of rebels who were fighting desperately to survive. To try and stop the rebellion, the leaders of the Han Dynasty gave power to different commanders in different regions, which caused a lot of chaos and confusion. This time in history is known as the period before the Three Kingdoms were formed. One important day, a huge army of tens of thousands of Han royal soldiers clashed with an equally strong group of rebels known as the Yellow Turbans. This battle took place near some big mountains. Leading the Han Empire's army was a famous general named Zhuo. He and his soldiers had to fight against the Yellow Turban rebels, who were led by Cao Cao. Cao was not just a skilled leader, he was also a powerful magician. Cao Cao used his magic to cover the sun with dark clouds and even control his soldiers with some kind of evil power. This made them almost impossible to defeat in battle. So the Han soldiers were up against a tough opponent who not only had military skills, but also some kind of supernatural abilities. On a big battlefield, there were lots and lots of soldiers fighting. This made it really hard for the royal troops to win. But then there were three brave knights named Liubei, Guan Yu, and Zhang Fei. They were on a hill nearby and saw the battle. They felt very loyal to their country and decided to help General Zhuo and his soldiers fight the rebels. So they charged into the battle on their horses and showed off their amazing fighting skills. They defeated a lot of enemies with just one swing of their swords. Together, they fought alongside the Han royal army against the rebels. As the battle went on, the three knights went after Cao Cao, the rebel leader. Liubei managed to shoot Cao Cao, and they had a big fight. Liubei was better at fighting and easily beat Cao Cao, making him roll down the hill. When Cao Cao lost, the sun came back and his magic stopped working. So he and his rebel troops ran away, and the Han royal troops won. General Zhuo was curious about the three knights, so he went to meet them. But when he found out they weren't important people and were just regular folks, he didn't care about them. He didn't even say thank you and left. This made the three knights feel like they didn't matter much. Meanwhile, there was another commander named Cao Cao watching from a hill. Even though the Yellow Turban rebels were gone after Cao Cao died, Cao Cao knew that it didn't mean the Han Dynasty was safe. Inside the palace, there was a big power struggle happening. General Zhuo took the crown prince and made things even worse. It was a tough time for the kingdom. Inside the palace, Zhuo did something very bad. He got rid of the young king Liubei and put someone else named Liuexi in his place, but Liuexi was just a puppet ruler. Zhuo said he was the prime minister and controlled everything in the kingdom. If anyone dared to say no to him, they would be killed. The kingdom, which used to be peaceful, was now a big mess. People were scared of the cruel warlord who ruled with a very strong hand. Cao Cao was really mad at what Zhuo did. One night when they were having dinner, the other ministers talked about how bad their lives had become because of Zhuo. Zhuo treated Emperor Liuexi very badly and did bad things with the queen and other women in the palace. There was no law, and he didn't care about the people at all. While the others felt like they couldn't do anything, Cao Cao decided he had to do something about it. He promised to kill Zhuo himself and make the Han Dynasty great again, no matter what it took. He was tired of being around people who were too scared to do anything, so he left the gathering and left them to feel sad. In a city called Sixin, the governor tried to make Liubei pay him money. Liubei was known as a protector by the people because he fought against bad people. But Liubei didn't want to give the governor any money, and this made the governor very angry. To everyone's surprise, the people in the town got really mad at the governor for being corrupt. They came together and rebelled against him. They hung the governor from a tree as a sign that they were very angry at him. But then Han soldiers came to the town because the governor asked them for help. These soldiers wanted to hurt Liubei and his friends because they helped get rid of the governor. Liubei and his friends knew they had to act fast to survive the big fight that was coming. The three friends had to run away from the people chasing them, so they went deep into the forest to find a safe place. They had heard about some warrior generals who were against the mean leader Zhuo, and they wanted to join them on Warrior Mountain. Liubei really loved the Han dynasty and wanted to get rid of Zhuo. While they were riding through the thick forest, something strange happened. They got all mixed up and couldn't see because of the thick fog. Suddenly, they found themselves in a strange place where there were lots of fireflies lighting up the dark. What's weirder is that their weapons disappeared into the ground like magic, and they couldn't find them. Then, an old lady appeared out of nowhere. It was like a miracle. She somehow knew who they were and asked them to come closer. It gave them a little hope in their tough situation. This old lady was known in the village as Mill. One day, a guy named Liubei came to her for help. He wanted to know how to make the palace great again, because he heard about 18 warrior leaders on Warrior Mountain planning to go against Zhuo. Liubei really wanted to help them, but Zhuo was protected by his tough general, Liubei. Mill knew Liubei really well. She told Liubei a story about Liubei from a long time ago. Back then, Liubei looked like a regular guy, but he was actually a really mean demon in human form. Mill had a special spear that Liubei stole from her and used to kill his own adoptive father, General Ting Yuan Shao. In just a moment, he became the leader of a lot of soldiers. Liubei was really amazing, and Zhuo noticed him. So Zhuo made him his top war general and gave him the best soldiers and the fastest horse. Even though Liubei had a scary reputation, it didn't stop three brave warriors who wanted to bring down Zhuo and bring peace back to the kingdom. Liubei asked Mill about another war commander named Cao Cao. He wanted to know more about him to help their plan. Surprisingly, Mill knew everything about Cao Cao. She told a story about a minister who heard that Cao Cao really wanted to kill Zhuo. The minister gave Cao Cao a special dagger that could cut through iron. He told Cao Cao to use it to get rid of Zhuo and stop his mean rule. Finally, the time came to end Zhuo's rule. Cao Cao saw Zhuo sleeping in front of him and wanted to use the iron-cutting dagger to hurt him. But Zhu woke up just in time, and Cao Cao got scared. To hide his plan, Cao Cao acted like he was giving Zhu the super dagger. When Cao Cao left the palace, Liubei realized what happened and went after him on his fast horse. He shot 2 arrows at Cao Cao, and they had a big chase through the city and into the forest. Liubei tried to stop Cao Cao with his lightning spear, but Cao Cao was very quick and dodged all of Liubei's attacks. In a last try, Liubei used his power to make the forest split and create a huge landslide. He thought nobody could survive that, so he left the place. But to his surprise, Cao Cao got help from a couple and didn't get hurt in the big attack. People all over the kingdom heard that Cao Cao had escaped, and Zhuo was offering a reward to catch him. A couple who had saved Cao Cao's life heard about the reward and gave him to the local officials. Cao Cao was caught by a guy named Seng Gong, who wanted to kill him. But Seng Gong was curious and wanted to know why Cao Cao was fighting against Prime Minister Zhuo, who had always given him a lot of stuff. Cao Cao surprised him by saying he wasn't afraid to die, and he just wanted to make the Han dynasty peaceful again. He didn't want people to suffer under Zhuo's rule. Seng Gong couldn't stand the bad things the Zhou government was doing, so he decided to help Cao Cao overthrow them. Even though it was risky and he had to leave his family and job, he joined Cao Cao in his fight for justice. After hiding for 3 months, Cao Cao took Seng Gong to his uncle's house, hoping to find safety there. But when they got there, Cao Cao noticed some strange things that made him worried. His uncle talked about the reward for catching Cao Cao, which made Cao Cao suspicious. Despite being worried, Uncle Cao Cao said goodbye and went to get some wine for them. While they waited, Cao Cao heard his cousin sharpening a knife and talking about killing 2 pigs. Cao Cao thought they were talking about him and Seng Gong. Cao Cao felt trapped because the door was locked, and he thought his uncle had lied about getting wine. He believed that his uncle had gone to tell the authorities where they were hiding. In fear and self-defense, Cao Cao broke the door and attacked everyone inside, thinking they were his enemies. After the fight was over, Cao Cao realized he had made a big mistake. The two pigs they talked about were actually just animals they were going to eat. The locked door was just a regular lock that closed automatically. Feeling really confused and ashamed, Cao Cao told Chen Gong to go away. Outside, he met his uncle, who had come back with wine to have a good time. But Cao Cao was still scared and angry, so he couldn't stop himself from hurting his uncle, even though he was crying by the river. When Chen Gong asked why he did it, Cao Cao said it was to protect himself. He was afraid that his uncle would come after him in the future and stop him from getting rid of the bad Dongzhuo government. Cao Cao was ready to do anything to make his plan work, even if it meant people thinking he was a criminal forever. While Chen Gong was resting and still shocked by what happened, he thought about using a dagger to hurt Cao Cao. But he changed his mind, stuck the dagger in a tree, and left. This made Cao Cao believe that there were no real friends in the world, but he still had hope that he would find people to help him with his dreams. Then, something strange happened. A thick fog appeared, and Mill showed up. She thought Cao Cao had special powers and gave him a special sword as a gift. Cao Cao left the forest with his new sword and started making his own army. He went to the city of Chenliu and met his dad, Cao Song. At first, his dad didn't want to help, but Cao Cao talked him into it. They formed an army to fight against the bad Dongzhuo government. The message to get rid of the Dongzhuo government and make the Hunt dynasty better spread through flyers, and a lot of people joined Cao Cao's army. His army got bigger, and Cao Cao became a war general with 20,000 soldiers. Mill gave Liubei and his friends special weapons to use on their journey. As they were on their journey, they reached a big mountain where lots of soldiers were fighting against the bad ruler Dongzhuo. But they weren't allowed in because they didn't have any soldiers of their own. Things got tense, but then General Cao Cao showed up with his troops. Cao Cao saw that they all shared the same goal of stopping Dongzhuo's cruelty, so he told the gatekeeper to let them in. They teamed up to fight against the bad government and make things better for the people. Inside a cave deep in the mountains, some powerful leaders were having a secret meeting. Led by General Yun Shoushao, they were getting ready to fight against Dongzhuo and his huge army of 150,000 soldiers. Just as they were about to raise their glasses for a symbolic drink, someone spoke up. It was Liubei, a guy who people didn't really notice before. He said that he and his two brothers wanted to join the fight. The other leaders laughed because they didn't think 3 unknown warriors could help in such an important battle. Yun Shoushao asked what they could bring since they didn't have soldiers or resources. But Liubei was determined. He talked about how much he believed in the cause and how good he and his brothers were at fighting. He was sure they could make a difference. When Cao Cao saw Liubei's determination, he spoke up and convinced Yun Shoushao to give them a chance. Liubei had a strong reason to help his fellow countrymen. He explained that he was a descendant of the Hunt dynasty, and he couldn't just stand by and let Dongzhuo's terrible actions harm his ancestral homeland. When he shared this, the 3 brothers were officially welcomed into the alliance, ready to do whatever it took for the greater good. During a meeting of the warlords, Cao Cao talked about a letter from the emperor. It was a secret letter that said they should assassinate Dongzhuo. Everyone was shocked and wondered how the young emperor could write such a bold order. But then Cao Cao admitted that he had actually written the letter himself. He said it was a clever move to make their fight seem justified and right for the empire. If they won, no one would question if the letter was real. And if they lost, it didn't matter because the emperor was just a puppet who didn't make decisions. The warlords knew that many people had their own interests, so General Yun Shoushao made a big announcement. He said that whoever could go to the capital, Luoyang, and rescue the emperor would become the commander-in-chief of the imperial army. It was a tempting offer that could bring power and prestige to whoever succeeded. Things got tense as General Sun Jian asked for permission to lead the first attack against Dongzhuo. A few days later, they heard that Sun Jian's troops had broken through 3 lines of defense and were heading to the capital. Zhuo got really angry and ordered General Huaxiong to lead a counterattack. While they were talking about their plans, Cao Cao was really impressed with Guan Yu's smart thinking and wanted him to join their side. But Guan Yu said no because he was super loyal to his brother, Liubei. As they were discussing, they got some bad news that the enemy had beaten Sun Jian's troops and was coming their way. The enemy leader, Huaxiong, challenged them to a one-on-one fight. Cao Cao thought Huaxiong was strong, but he said he wasn't as tough as Liubei. Cao Cao even suggested they should give up if they couldn't beat Huaxiong. But then General Yu and Zhou Xiao said he'd give a reward to anyone who could fight Huaxiong. It was a tense situation, and General Yu stepped up to fight Huaxiong. He was brave, but Huaxiong quickly cut off his head and threw it into a cave. Even after that, General Fan Feng tried, but he met the same fate as Yu. Yu and Zhou Xiao really wanted to beat Huaxiong, so he doubled the reward for anyone who could defeat him. Lots of brave generals tried and failed. Finally, Liubei asked his sworn brother, Guan Yu, to take the challenge. Cao Cao was so impressed with Guan Yu's skills that he offered him a drink of warm wine as a sign of respect. But Guan Yu said he wouldn't drink it until he had done his duty and killed Huaxiong. It was time for a big showdown. So, Guan Yu stepped up to fight Huaxiong one-on-one. They fought hard in the mountain valley, and to everyone's surprise, Guan Yu held his own and gave Huaxiong a big blow that cut off his head. When the enemy soldiers saw their leader fall, they got scared and ran away from the battlefield. After Guan Yu's big win, he went back to the cave where Cao Cao had offered him some warm wine as a sign of respect. At first, Guan Yu said no to the wine, but after his victory, he accepted it and took a sip. Yu and Zhou Xiao thought Guan Yu was amazing and told his soldiers to treat him really well. But Guan Yu didn't want any gifts. He said he only fought for his sworn brother, Liubei. Cao Cao saw how brave Liubei and his brothers were and thought they deserved a reward. He talked to General Yu and Zhou Xiao and asked if Liubei could have an important job in the army. Yu and Zhou Xiao, after hearing about what Liubei had done, made him the commander of the troops. Liubei was thankful for the chance and happily took the position. He was excited to serve his country and lead his fellow soldiers with honor and bravery. While all this was happening, Sun Jian's troops were attacking a fortress on their way to the capital. They were using all their power to break through the defenses. Inside the palace, Zhuo, the bad ruler, was really angry because one of his generals got killed by Guan Yu when the wine was still warm, which made him look bad. To get ready for the upcoming attack, Zhuo ordered 500,000 troops to wait at the entrance to the island leading to Luoyang's capital. The rest of the soldiers were guarding the other side of the city. Zhuo and a few generals led 150,000 troops around the palace, ready to protect it no matter what. In the middle of all this tension, Liubei, who was Dongzhu's tough warrior, shot an arrow into the cave where Yu and Zhou's troops were hiding. It was like a declaration of war. Liubei got 30,000 soldiers ready for the big battle to defend their kingdom. When it got dark, General Yu and Zhou told his fellow soldiers that only 8 warlords were left in the alliance, and most of their troops had run away because they were scared. So now they only had 200,000 soldiers, which was a lot fewer than their enemies. Even though things looked bad, Cao Cao said that the people who were scared of Liubei wouldn't have joined the alliance if they didn't want to fight him. They knew they had to face him, so they got ready to fight with everything they had. The next day, Zhuo made a bold decision to move the capital from Luoyang City to Kangnan City all by himself, inside the palace. While Liubei was resting in the mountains, he heard a woman crying. He went over to her and saw that she was trying to hurt herself. He stopped her in time. After making sure the woman was safe, Liubei asked her what was wrong. She said her adoptive father was going to marry her off to a bad guy she didn't love. Touched by her story, Liubei gave her his personal seal and told her to use it to protect herself from the man. From then on, Liubei cared a lot about her and promised to keep her safe. Dao Chun wasn't sure if Liubei's love was real, but when he stood up and stabbed his own arm to show how devoted he was, she knew he meant it. She told him her name, and Liubei promised to protect her forever. On a hill, Liubei and Cao Cao were practicing sword fighting and talking about their battle plan. Cao Cao was worried that General Yuan Shou might leave the alliance because he was scared, but Liubei said he was fully committed to bringing back the glory of the Han dynasty. He said his only fear was dying while the Han dynasty was still in ruins, and he was ready to sacrifice his life to prevent that. When Cao Cao asked if he wanted power, Liubei said he didn't want anything for himself but couldn't stand to see the people suffer under Dong Zhuo's rule. He was determined to fight for the Han dynasty. In a dark cave, Liubei and Cao Cao, two famous leaders, met to plan their strategy for the upcoming battle. Their troops were there too, listening closely. The plan was to split up. Liubei and his two brothers would go after Liubei and his 30,000 soldiers, while Cao Cao would surround Luoyang's capital and capture Dongzhuo. Before they left, Cao Cao talked to Liubei and warned him about the danger of facing Liubei. He wanted Liubei to be careful. Even though they knew it was dangerous, Liubei and his brothers led their 20,000 soldiers into battle. They knew the odds were against them and that this could be their last fight. One of Liubei's brothers, Guan Yu, offered a way out for anyone too scared to fight. But to their surprise, not a single soldier backed down. Feeling inspired by the bravery of his comrades, Guan Yu made a promise to his fellow soldiers. He said that anyone who fought with them would be like a brother, no matter what happened. With strong determination, they cheered and went toward Luoyang city, ready to face whatever came their way. When they got close to the city gates, Liubei's troops were all ready for battle, waiting for Liubei, their opponent. On the other side of the road, Liubei's troops were also getting ready. Then, Liubei came out from the gates, closed his eyes, and seemed lost in thought. A gust of wind blew, and everyone was surprised to see that some of Liubei's soldiers were just straw dolls. They used them to trick Liubei into thinking they had a bigger army. Liubei thought it was funny and didn't take it seriously. The two sides started fighting, with Liubei telling his troops to move forward, while Liubei told his soldiers to make a smart formation. The trick worked, and most of Liubei's troops got trapped, making them easy to beat. On the other side of the hill, Cao Cao led his army to attack the palace from a different way, hoping to catch Liubei and his troops by surprise. Meanwhile, Liubei, Guan Yu, and Zhang Fei fought really hard against Liubei's tough soldiers, determined to win no matter what. But Liubei was a strong opponent. He could take down hundreds of soldiers with one quick strike from his lightning spear. When Liubei saw his soldiers falling, he jumped into the fight himself. The three brothers didn't back down and faced Liubei in a fierce battle. The battle was really intense, and the ground was shaking beneath their feet. It was so fierce that the bridge they were on broke, and they fell into the deep below. But they didn't stop fighting even as they fell, and Liubei was a tough opponent. His lightning spear was hitting hard, and seemed like it could defeat Liubei and his brothers. While they were fighting, Liubei remembered something Mill had told him about how blood could make weapons stronger. So, in a brave move, he and his brothers stabbed themselves to let their blood flow and make their weapons stronger. Together, they charged at Liubei, ready to fight him directly. But the fight was really hard. Despite their best efforts, Liubei was still strong and seemed invincible, while Liubei and his brothers were getting tired. Meanwhile, Dongzhuo, who didn't know what was happening outside, was focused on his wedding plans. He had chosen a bride, Dao Chun, but he didn't know she had her own plan. While the battle kept going, Cao Cao was still trying to get into the palace from a different way, and he knew they were running out of time. Someone lit a smoke signal high up in the sky, desperate to let others know about the danger. From a distance, Liubei saw the smoke signal that showed there was trouble at the palace. He immediately stopped the battle and hurried toward the palace. The next day, Cao Cao arrived at the palace site, but it was all destroyed. Dongzhuo and his people had already run away to the new capital in Chang'an City, taking the young emperor with them. At that time, Dongzhuo was planning to marry Dao Chun. As Cao Cao's guards looked at the ruined palace, they told him that General Sun Jian had already gone into the palace and taken the royal seal. But Cao Cao didn't think the royal seal was that important. He said that rescuing the emperor was the most important thing. On their way, Dao Chun's adoptive father reminded her about her mission to kill Dong Zhuo during the wedding. Years passed, and Cao Cao had built up a big army. He went to visit Liubei's training camp, which now had thousands of soldiers. Cao Cao was really impressed by how much Liubei had improved the camp. Cao Cao came to invite Liubei to join his side. He said that Generals Yun Shou and Sun Jian were only fighting for themselves, and if he and Liubei joined together, they could bring unity and stability to the land. After seeing how the Han dynasty was falling apart, Cao Cao knew he had to do something to protect the people. He suggested that he and Liubei team up to create a new kingdom that could bring back the old glory of the Han dynasty. But Liubei surprised him by saying no because he still believed he could revive the Han dynasty. Cao Cao laughed a little because he knew that both he and Liubei really wanted to be in charge, to be the ruler. But Liubei strongly denied it, saying he was completely loyal to the Han dynasty. Cao Cao said goodbye and warned that if a time came when they had to fight each other, he wouldn't hesitate to defeat Liubei. So the moral of the story is blood makes your weapons stronger, so don't be afraid to bleed a little. Just don't forget to pack a towel, because things are gonna get messy.